Hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you can join me here today. 300 on what is authenticity. These are excerpts, pages 726 and 27 out of 850 from my novel, this book called TheSovereignLight, named after my ministry. And my name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis. And this is a course in metaphysical spirituality. And today we are going to, once again, in this beautiful background, to enjoy this episode. And as we do so, take a few deep breaths in and out. Ground and center from the soles of your feet and tailbone. Connect and become one with the earth, with the energy through your feet. Feel it coming in and upwards to your heart space center with every breath in. And from the ethers, the sky, at the same time. So breathe in through your crown space all the way down and upward from the soles of your feet. Congregate to your heart space center and breathe out into the resonating field. And feel that sinking in, that peaceful, silent stillness from within in this present now here moment. Hi. The fear of lack is a malignant, is a misalignment. Because when the self is able to give from a place of authenticity, it stops being toxic. It can only inspire to create more from the many of its world. From universal oneness, and that the self is able to express authentically, it can only be with integrated purpose and connection. That nothing is ever taken to be missing from the self and in lack this way. So today's affirmation is somewhat, I didn't know what I was thinking, but it's something that made me question myself, but you can find it separately on its own along with this episode, this video, this audio visual version. And so let's begin to say these words out loud. When I'm inspired to gather from the many information and from it authentically reinterpret to give back, and from another version to blend, that all that it can be, plus the more of what it did not have before in separation. When I'm inspired to gather from the many information and from it authentically reinterpret to give back, and from another version to blend, the all that it can be, plus the more of what it did not have before in separation. When I'm inspired to gather from the many information and from it authentically reinterpret to give back, and from another version to blend, that all that it can be, plus the more of what it did not have before in separation. Authenticity is felt, and this is where the resonating of like minds just happens to feed the soul and inspire the spirit to excel from higher consciousness perspectives. The more the fear can dissipate, the less the suffering from hanging on to its beliefs and that of making sense. So the more the fear can dissipate, the less the suffering from hanging on to its belief and that of making sense. Because the righteous is not always felt and with as a connection, then it must be a disconnect, ready to let go. Not easy, is it? Where there's one door closes, a window opens. And from that, these perspectives, well then the mind has more power than it needs to keep the heart closed. In this way, the prison guard and the self as victim. So the more we excel in something and become experts, the more we create these prison bars. And even the window that might once have been open has prison bars. And we enter into the prison of the mind. So, with that said, it must be very simple just to float away. And yet, why does the self not do this? Is it its need for approval? Does it really need the relevance of belonging for its roots and to feel stable and secure and grounded in this way? And what are they grounding into, if not a prison, if not an institution? So, moving on to the next page. When I am inspired to gather from the many information and from it authentically reinterpret to give back, and from another version to blend, the all that it can be, plus the more of what it did not have before in separation. When awakened, the struggle that everything must be fixed is gone, and this is what it means to surrender and to trust in just the energy of how the self can feel by its surroundings. This will be so much easier than trusting in the self at first and then, bang, on to higher states of enlightenment. How many workers does it take to have a coffee and a muffin? This is an example that might be to explore, and in such a way today, this practice. Make the observation throughout the day and see how many things like this the self can experience to better understand the matrix with. We're creators. We asked for this. And the matrix that we attach ourselves and feel stuck in, that we perhaps feel we can't get out or fit into, and so on and so forth. So the purpose for today here on 4th is to realize that putting the responsibility on others is what caused the separation in the first place, to manage over the self, and the breakdown of its function into many fragmented parts that scatter its energy and the self-worth, so that others may survive as meaningful existence still asleep. So yes, we do, just by our presence, just by our light, we ignite that within others that are reflective, like forget her name now. She used to be a transgression therapist, and she would talk about background people and how they might appear two-dimensional. However, our essence brings them and reanimates them and helps them to remember where they once lost from source. We all come from source. And with that said, I will leave you with today's affirmation, and you can find it separately on its own. And I'm so happy you have joined me. Until next time for day 301. See you there. When I am inspired to gather from the many information, and from it authentically reinterpret to give back, and from another version to blend the all that it can be, plus the more of what it did not have before in separation.